Today, I'm gonna reveal how I made a basketball float.
Someone recently told me that my TikToks were too long and that's why I'm not getting more followers. So from now on, I'm gonna...
At first glance, the video looks pretty simple, but behind the scenes, there was a lot of details that had to be worked out and timed up very well, actually. So I'm gonna first break down the filming and then break down the editing. So believe it or not, there are actually two clips that make up this video. The first clip is obviously me just walking in frame, holding up the basketball, and then removing my hand from the basketball. But for this part, I knew ahead of time that I wanted to mask out the basketball. And so I had the lovely help from my girlfriend to grab the basketball out of frame, and then I just walk out. But that's the part that had to be really well timed, and that probably took us, oh gosh, probably, I'm not gonna lie, that probably took us like 30 minutes, if not a little longer, to try to get right. The reason it took us so long to get that take was just getting the timing down. And I say we, but it was really her having to know when I was gonna drop the basketball, basically. Another complicated part with her grabbing the ball out of frame is making sure her hand didn't cross in front of my fingers, because if she did, then I wouldn't have been able to cleanly mask out the ball, and there would have been somebody else's hand in the shot. That took a while, like I said, but like it came out perfectly though. That take couldn't have gone any smoother. The second clip was probably the more fun clip to film just because I didn't have to time anything up to audio, but the hard part about that, so this is where the reveal of how I made the basketball float comes in. We used a green screen, fishing line, and tape. At this point in my life, I have not found a problem that duct tape cannot fix. That's a lie, but I would love for that to be true. So the first thing I needed to figure out was how to make these two clips mesh together as easily as possible, and as much as I hate green screens, that was probably the best way to go about it for me. One of the complications about this shot was just trying to match the height of the basketballs between the clips, because when I got to editing, I did not want to run the risk of the lighting being different, because then there would be no point to trying to key out that basketball and match the shot. The second complication about this clip was trying to get the rotations to match between each clip. I don't know if anybody noticed this about the first clip, but the way I spun the ball on my finger, I was doing my best to keep these lines as straight as possible, because once I hung it from the ceiling, that's basically how it was going to spin, because there's no way I was going to get it to match if it was wobbling like that back and forth. And so that was probably, yeah, I'll go ahead and say it, that was probably the most complicated part about meshing these two clips together, because if these didn't line up, then it was going to be very obvious kind of how I put it together, and then the illusion is ruined. I've been editing with Premiere and After Effects for about the last 5 to 6 years, and so if any of this looks complicated to you, I'm gonna do my very best to explain it in the simplest way possible. But if you don't understand, there's a lot of tutorials out there that can help you understand. I'm gonna be honest, I can't remember the exact order I did everything in, because I made this like 4 months ago, if you can't tell by the hair. But I'm gonna explain it in the order that I probably did it in. First, I used the effect key light to key out the green screen to isolate the basketball from the second clip. Then I positioned it to line up with the basketball from the first clip. I also timed up the rotation speeds well enough between clips that I didn't end up needing to fade in the basketball from the second clip when I introduced it. Just a good old-fashioned cut. Next, I masked out the basketball from the first clip. I did this manually with the pen tool so I could have more control over the path and position of the mask. Quick side note though, something to remember when filming a video like this is to have a clean plate or a shot where nothing is moving in frame. Otherwise, you'll be left with the mask revealing the transparency grid. And obviously, you don't want that. The final piece to the puzzle was to rotoscope my upper body so that when I walked out of frame, then the floating ball would be behind my head, giving the illusion that it was there with me in real time. So that's how I made a basketball float, and that's a wrap.